There is a specific way to speak that makes reality reorganize itself around your words. Not eventually, immediately. And there is a specific way most people speak that makes reality ignore them completely. Robert Collier documented both in 1926. The difference between them is not volume, not emotion, not repetition. It is one thing, and that one thing is what nobody has ever explained to you correctly. Stay with me. Because in the next few minutes you are going to understand why every affirmation you have ever said either worked instantly or produced absolutely nothing. And you are going to know exactly which one you have been doing. There is a sentence Collier wrote in 1926 that his publisher tried to remove from the manuscript. He refused. He said it was the most important sentence in the entire book. I am going to give you that sentence, but not yet, because if I give it to you now, before you understand why it matters, it will sound like everything else you have already heard, and you will do what everyone does with things that sound familiar. You will nod and forget. So first, the mechanism. Here is what almost nobody explains about why words work or don't work. Words are not the cause of manifestation. They are the symptom of a state. When Collier wrote about the power of the spoken word, he was not talking about the words themselves. He was talking about what is underneath them, the interior state from which they are spoken. He wrote, "Two men can say the same words. One of them moves the world, the other moves nothing. The difference is not the words, it is the ground from which they rise. Think about that. Same words. One moves the world, the other moves nothing." You have experienced both sides of this. There have been moments when you said something, not loudly, not dramatically, and something in the room shifted. People responded differently. Circumstances began to rearrange. You felt, though you could not explain it, that the thing you said was already true before you said it. That is the state Collier was documenting. And there have been other moments when you repeated the same words over and over, louder each time, with more emotion each time, and nothing moved. The room did not respond. The circumstances did not shift. The words dissolved into air as if they had never been spoken. That is the opposite state, and here is the precise mechanical reason for the difference. The subconscious mind does not hear words. Read that again. The subconscious mind does not hear words. It reads frequency. Collier documented this with a precision that most people find uncomfortable when they first encounter it. He wrote, "The spoken word is not the instruction, it is the signal that an instruction has been given. And the instruction comes not from the mouth, but from the state of the man who speaks. The instruction comes from the state, not the words. The state. This is why affirmations fail for most people who use them. They are speaking the right words from the wrong state. They are saying abundance from the state of scarcity. They are saying certainty from the state of doubt. They are saying I am from the state of I am trying to become. And the subconscious, which cannot be deceived, which reads not what you say but what you are when you say it, receives the state, not the words, and returns the state as experience, every single time. The source I am drawing from, Collier's original Secret of the Ages, 7 volumes, the complete work, is in the description. Free. But stay, because what comes next is the part that tells you exactly what the correct state is, and precisely how to speak from it. Here is what Collier called the 2 ways of speaking. He gave them specific names. The first he called speaking from desire. The second he called speaking from completion, and he documented the difference between them with such mechanical precision that you will be able to identify, in the next 60 seconds of your own inner life, which one you have been doing. Speaking from desire sounds like this. I want this. I am working toward this. I am trying to manifest this. I am asking for this. I believe this is coming, not as the direction. All of it is oriented toward a future event. Something that has not yet happened, something that is coming, something being asked for. And Collier documented what the subconscious does with every single statement oriented toward a future event. It files it as a future event, not as a present reality, as something that is coming, which means, by definition, something that is not yet here. And the subconscious, which organizes your perception, your decisions, and your actions around what it believes is currently real, organizes everything around the absence of the thing, around the reaching for it, around the gap between where you are and where the thing is. And that gap, the subconscious maintenance of that gap, is why people can want something with every part of themselves and watch it remain perpetually just out of reach. The wanting keeps it out of reach, because wanting is the language of absence, and the subconscious speaks it fluently. Collier wrote, "The man who desires a thing declares to his subconscious that he does not have it. And the subconscious, which is the most loyal servant in existence, faithfully maintains the reality of not having it, the most loyal servant in existence." That phrase is not poetic. It is the most precise description of why affirmations fail that has ever been written. Your subconscious is not failing you. It is faithfully maintaining exactly what you are telling it to maintain. And most people are telling it to maintain the absence of what they want. Through desire, through asking, through hoping, through trying to manifest, all of which carry the same embedded message. This is not mine yet. Speaking from completion sounds like this. This is mine. This is already done. I have this. This is the reality I am operating from. Not someday. Now. Not eventually. Now. And notice what happens when you actually try to say those words about something you want. Notice the resistance, the voice that says, "But it's not real, but I can't see it, but I don't actually have it." That resistance is not a problem. That resistance is the ego recognizing that you are speaking from a state it cannot yet verify. And Collier documented exactly how to move through that resistance. Not by silencing it, not by forcing yourself to believe, but by understanding what completion actually means in the context of the mind's creative process. He wrote, "Completion is not the presence of the physical thing. Completion is the presence of the interior state that the physical thing would produce." Read that twice. Completion is not the physical thing. Completion is the interior state that the physical thing would produce. The feeling of being financially free does not require money in your account. It requires the interior state, the specific quality of ease, of settled knowing, of the particular way the world looks when money is not a concern, to be present in your interior. The physical thing is the echo. The interior state is the source. And Collier documented that when the interior state is genuinely present, when it is not performed, not forced, not attempted, the physical echo follows with what he called mathematical certainty. Mathematical, not spiritual, not hopeful. Mathematical. If this is reframing something you have been doing for years, hit the like button. It tells me this is reaching the right people now, because we are about to go somewhere most people never reach. Here is where it becomes precise. Collier documented 3 specific qualities that must be present for words to carry the frequency of completion. He called them the 3 elements of creative speech. Not prayer, not affirmation. Creative speech. The distinction is important. Element 1, congruence. This is the most critical element and the one most commonly missing. Congruence means that the interior state and the spoken word are the same frequency, not similar, not close, the same. When there is congruence, when what you say and what you are occupy the same vibrational space, the word carries weight. It lands. It is received. When there is no congruence, when you say abundance while your nervous system is broadcasting scarcity, the word means nothing. Less than nothing, because the subconscious receives the incongruence as a signal of doubt, and doubt is the most powerful affirmation of absence that exists. Collier wrote, "A word spoken without congruence does not neutralize. It confirms the opposite of its meaning." Think about that. A word spoken without congruence does not neutralize. It confirms the opposite. If you say "I am abundant" while feeling scarcity, your subconscious does not receive silence. It receives, "This person knows they are not abundant and is trying to pretend otherwise," and it faithfully, loyally, precisely maintains the scarcity. This is why years of affirmations can produce the opposite of what was intended. Not because the method is wrong, because the congruence was missing. So how do you create congruence when the physical evidence directly contradicts what you want to say? Collier was specific about this. He said, "You do not create congruence by convincing yourself the physical evidence is wrong. You create it by entering the interior state that the desired reality would produce and speaking from inside that state, not about it. From inside it. The difference between speaking about an interior state and speaking from inside it is the difference between describing a fire and being warm. One is information, the other is experience, and only experience carries the frequency." Element 2, specificity. Collier documented that vague words carry vague frequencies, and vague frequencies produce vague results. He wrote, "The subconscious mind does not respond to general statements, it responds to specific ones. Compare these 2 statements, 'I am financially free,' and 'I move through the world with the ease of someone who does not need to count.' The first is a category. The second is a specific interior experience. Can you feel the difference? The first names a condition, the second inhabits one. The subconscious can receive an inhabited experience. It cannot receive a category. This is why I am healthy produces less than a statement that describes the specific quality of living in a healthy body, the ease of movement, the particular clarity of waking up without anything hurting, the way the world expands when your physical instrument is working correctly. The specific experience is a frequency. The category is a label. The subconscious responds to frequencies, not labels. Collier documented this with a case study from his correspondence files. A woman who had been repeating, "I am loved," for 9 months with no perceptible change in her circumstances or relationships. He asked her one question: "What specifically does being loved feel like in your interior?" She could not answer, not because she lacked intelligence, because she had been saying the words without inhabiting the experience. She had been speaking about a category, not from inside a reality. Collier gave her a single instruction: spend 5 minutes each day not saying you are loved, but inhabiting the specific interior quality of a person who is genuinely loved. The warmth of being known, the ease of being seen without needing to perform, the particular quality of safety that comes from being someone's priority. Not the words, the experience. Within 6 weeks, her relationships began to shift in ways she described as inexplicable. They were not inexplicable. They were the mathematical echo of an interior state that had finally become real enough to broadcast. Before element 3, something in the description, what Collier documented about creative speech goes much deeper than one chapter. The 7 volumes of The Secret of the Ages contain the complete framework, the specific sequence of interior moves that produce genuine congruence, even when the physical evidence is working against you. Most people who study manifestation have never read the original. They have read summaries, interpretations, simplified versions that remove the precision. Collier spent years assembling. The original is in the description, free. If what you are hearing today is the first time the mechanism has made sense, that link is where it continues. Now, element 3. Element 3, the present tense of completion, not the future tense of desire, not the past tense of memory, the present tense of completion. Collier wrote, "The creative word is always present, not I will have, not I had, not I am trying to have, I have, I am. It is, the present tense is not grammatical convenience. It is the only tense the subconscious recognizes as real, because the subconscious does not have a future. It only has now. When you speak in the future tense, I will manifest this, this is coming to me, I am attracting this, you are placing the event outside of now, and the subconscious, which only knows now, receives the event as perpetually not now, permanently approaching, never arriving. Collier documented that every prayer ever answered, in the mystical traditions he had studied, was spoken in the present tense of completion. Not ask, and you shall receive. But the receiving was already present in the asking. The asker was already inside the reality they were asking for. The asking was not petition, it was declaration. From the state of already having. Now here is the sentence that Collier refused to remove from his manuscript, the sentence his publisher called too strong. The sentence he said was the most important thing he had ever written. Are you ready? He wrote, "The word spoken from completion does not ask the universe for anything. It tells the universe what is, and the universe, which is nothing more than the organized reflection of what your interior believes is real, has no choice but to conform. The word spoken from completion tells the universe what is, and the universe has no choice but to conform, not eventually, not probably, has no choice. That is not metaphor, that is the mechanism. And now that you understand the mechanism, the 3 elements, congruence, specificity, the present tense of completion, you can understand why some words move the world and others dissolve in air. And you can begin to speak differently, starting today. Starting with the next thing you say. If this is the first time you have heard the mechanism explain this precisely, leave a dot below. Just 1. I want to know how many people have been practicing affirmations without knowing what was missing. Here is how to apply everything Collier documented, not as a ritual, not as a morning routine, as a way of speaking that you will use every time you open your mouth, about yourself, your circumstances, your life, your future. Step 1. Before you speak anything important, pause. 1 second, and in that second, ask yourself, what state am I in right now? Not what words am I about to say? What state am I in? Because the state is the instruction. If the state is scarcity, anything you say about abundance will confirm the scarcity. If the state is fear, anything you say about safety will confirm the fear. The pause is not for choosing better words. It is for checking the ground from which the words will rise. Step 2. Enter the interior state before the words. Not during, before. This is the part most people skip. They choose the words first and hope the state follows. Collier documented that it does not work this way. The state must be entered first, and entering it does not require time. It requires a specific kind of attention, the attention of someone who is already inside the reality they want, not imagining it from outside, not visualizing it as something to be obtained, already inside it, looking around from within it, feeling the specific texture of it, the particular quality of air inside a life that already has what you are about to speak from. 5 seconds of this is sufficient to shift the frequency. 10 seconds makes it unmistakable. Step 3. Speak from inside the state, not about it. From inside it, present tense, specific, congruent, not I am manifesting abundance, but this is my reality, not I am attracting the right relationship, but I am someone who is deeply known and genuinely chosen, not I am working toward health, but this body works, it has always known how to work, and it is working now. The words will feel different when spoken from the correct state. You will notice it, not as a performance, as a recognition, as if you are saying something that was already true, and the words are simply the moment you acknowledged it. That recognition, that specific interior sensation of words landing as truth rather than aspiration, is what Collier spent his career documenting. It is the signal that the frequency is correct. And when the frequency is correct, the echo follows, not because you asked for it, because the universe has no choice but to reflect what you are broadcasting. Mathematical certainty. If this channel is showing you things about the mind and manifestation that nobody else is covering, subscribe. Every few days we go deeper into what these men documented 100 years ago, the principles that were simplified, the precision that was removed. Subscribe. What comes next is the part most people never reach. Before I show you the most common error, let me give you something concrete. Because everything we have covered so far is mechanism, and mechanism without application stays in the mind. It does not move into the body. It does not change what you say when you are not thinking about it. And the moments that matter most, the moments when the words you speak carry the most weight, are almost never the moments when you are consciously applying a technique. They are the ordinary moments. The moments between efforts, the sentence you say to yourself when something goes wrong, the phrase that rises automatically when someone asks how things are going, the internal monologue that runs beneath everything else, the one you are barely aware of, that is doing more to shape your frequency than any affirmation practice you have ever attempted. Collier called this the ambient broadcast. He wrote, "A man may speak correctly for 5 minutes each morning and incorrectly for 16 hours afterward. The 16 hours will always outweigh the 5 minutes, not because the 5 minutes have no power, because the ambient broadcast, the constant, unmonitored, automatic speech, is the true signal the subconscious receives, and most people have never examined what their ambient broadcast is saying." Collier gave his readers a specific practice. For 1 day, not a week, not a month, 1 day, listen to what you say, not in your formal practice, not in your deliberate affirmations. In the spaces between, the thing you say under your breath when something doesn't work, the way you describe your situation when someone who cares about you asks, the words you use for yourself when you are alone, write them down, all of them, and then look at what you have written. Because what you have written is the actual instruction your subconscious has been receiving for years, not the affirmations. This, Collier said that most people, when they do this exercise, discover that their ambient broadcast is a direct confirmation of everything they do not want. I am so tired. Nothing is working. I always end up here. This is just how it is for me. I don't know why I try. Each of these, spoken in passing, spoken automatically, spoken without attention, is a precise instruction to the subconscious. Maintain this. Keep this as real. This is what we are broadcasting. The ambient broadcast is the real practice. And changing it, not through force, not through vigilance, but through the gradual shift that comes from understanding the mechanism, is the work that produces the results most people are looking for. Because when the ambient broadcast changes, when the automatic, unmonitored speech begins to carry the frequency of completion rather than the frequency of absence, something shifts that no formal practice can produce. The subconscious begins to receive a consistent signal. Not 5 minutes of the correct frequency surrounded by 16 hours of the incorrect one. An ambient field of the correct frequency interrupted occasionally by doubt, which the subconscious can work with, which the subconscious can build from, which begins over time to produce the mathematical echo that Collier spent his life documenting. Now, the most common error. Something he called the most common error in the practice of creative speech. It is subtle, but it destroys everything if left uncorrected. He called it the error of monitoring. After you speak from completion, after you have entered the state, spoken from inside it, sent the frequency, most people immediately begin watching for evidence that it worked. They check their circumstances. They look for signs. They monitor the external world for confirmation that the interior broadcast was received, and Collier documented that this monitoring, this checking, this watching for proof, is the most effective way to cancel the instruction you just gave. Here is why. When you monitor for evidence, when you watch for proof, you are broadcasting the state of someone who does not yet have confirmation, which means you are broadcasting doubt. And doubt, Collier wrote, is not the absence of certainty, it is the active broadcast of the opposite. Every moment you spend checking whether the thing is coming is a moment you are telling the subconscious it is not here yet, and the subconscious loyal servant that it is maintains that reality. The correct posture, after speaking from completion, is to continue inhabiting the state without looking for confirmation. Not because you are pretending the external world does not exist, but because you understand that the external world is the echo, and you do not watch an echo to see if the sound was made. You know the sound was made, because you made it. The echo is logistics. It will arrive. It always does. When you stop monitoring for it, when you stop needing it to arrive on a schedule, you can verify. The monitoring ceases to interfere with the delivery, and the delivery arrives with the particular quality that all genuine deliveries carry, the feeling that it was inevitable, not magical, not lucky, inevitable because the state was real, because the broadcast was clean, because the frequency was correct. And the universe, the faithful, precise, mathematical universe, did exactly what it always does. It conformed. Robert Collier spent his life documenting the mechanics of how the spoken word creates or destroys reality. What I have shown you today is the framework, the three elements, the correct posture, the error most people make, the complete documentation, the case studies, the specific interior exercises, the precise sequence that produces genuine congruence even when every piece of physical evidence is working against you, is in the original, 7 volumes. The link in the description, free. If you close without clicking it, you will have today's framework. But the framework without the depth is a key without a lock. The lock is in the original. The link is below. Speak it like this. Not loudly, not desperately, not hopefully. From inside the reality you are describing. Present tense, specific, congruent, and then stop watching. Trust the mechanism, the way you trust the sun to rise, the way you trust your heartbeat, without monitoring, without checking, without needing proof. Because when you speak from completion, when the frequency is clean, reality has no choice. It never did. Robert Collier wrote this in 1926. He called it the most precise description of how the universe actually works that he had ever been able to put into words. It is still there, in the original, exactly where he left it, waiting for someone to speak it from the right state. Tonight, that someone is you.